We wouldn't, because we're not them kind of people, but we're going live. Yeah, you have to do that if you want a PowerPoint.
But I never knew, I now know. Opened up my heart and let the divine flow. Mastering my breath, now my soul glows. Walking in my power, so the world knows. I know that you know. Yes.
Welcome on, everybody. Dua to all of you who are joining us on Facebook and YouTube Live for today's communion. We're doing things a little bit differently today, so you'll see me glance off to the side occasionally. It's because I'm checking out your comments, your likes, etc. I'm checking to see who's on YouTube because it's not right in front of me on the screen here. So when you see me turning and looking, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking out your comments too. I know that y'all are on YouTube. YouTube is strong and happy today, boys. 19 people on YouTube. Got 11 people on Facebook too, and that's it for joining us today. Before we go any further, let us get into our Sunday prayer and properly open the way. So please join me in saying, Ama tuam panatir, Sauek tuament panatir, Au du auma, Kedi Haru. We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father and who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything and yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the Netzeru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, the light of the inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their responsibility in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akaru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality. And in the moments of crisis, in the dark nights of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, so it is, and so shall it be. Everyone say, I'm in Ma'at. Ma'akaru. Dua Netzer. You want to turn the air off, Armin Cow? We got a full house here in the room, but we want to know where y'all are joining us from. First and foremost, let me give a big hearty shout out and send much mer to Hemet Or, Anika, Daniels Osaze, who has joined us in the chat on Facebook. Hemet Or, we're very, very grateful to have you with us today. And those of you who are joining us as well, I want to know who is there and I want to know where y'all are joining us from. So it's time for the roll call. Yes, Lincoln, Nebraska, Jason's on the line, give thanks. And I also promised Auntie Neferkara that I was gonna shout her out because even though she told us she can't get to the comments, I know she's watching on YouTube as promised. So shout out to Neferkara for joining us today. And always, we are very, very blessed to know your energy is with us, love. All right, we got Wesley joining us from St. Louis, Missouri. Give thanks. Doanetta Yael joining us from New York. Wabma Judy Rod joining us from Orange. Give thanks. Orlando, Florida is in the house. Doanetta. Yes. Uncle Ma'at. Can you send this link to Sajedi? Yeah. Thank you. Doanetta. Staten Island is in the building. Uncle Ma'at, Abu Cheseret. Doanetta, good to see you, love.
Well-known stream.
It's so good to see family here today. Give thanks, give thanks.
I wonder why everybody showed up today.
And on time too. Give thanks, give thanks.
Are they wanting us to address something?
I'm just giving one more minute to see if we got any more comments before we move on to the topic of the conversation that everybody is waiting for. Let me see what else we got. We got Reading, Pennsylvania, Edmond, Oklahoma, Brooklyn, New York. Zoanetta is in the house. Philadelphia is in the house. Las Vegas is in the house. Columbus, Ohio, and North Carolina. Oh, and Irvington, New Jersey. Zoanetta. So we got a nice range. I love seeing the range of folks who are joining us. We love being able to catch up with y'all. We're very, very grateful for y'all presence here today. Zoanetta. All right, so diving into the conversation of the day, I'll get my East Orange. Diving into the conversation of today, obviously at this point, most of y'all are aware of not only the incident that happened last week at the International African Arts Festival, many of you probably see my Instagram video, but then also seen additional things on social media, including a social media post that showed the poster in question, like the poster that was walked around the field that I mentioned in my video, that poster was placed on the Earth Center's Facebook page for, and they were encouraging folks to come see them and to come talk to them about that poster. There have been other posts, and I think a video that they did Friday night. There's also been a response video that came out from Hemnutter and Tepi Jabari from the Shrine of Ma'at, which we're really grateful for his support and his words of unity on the subject. Keeping it real, like, really don't want to keep giving this situation energy, because what you feed, it just continues to live. And this whole situation has come forth from such a place of negativity and such a place of drama and such a place of chaos. Like, it's not our desire in a temple of Anu to allow negativity and chaos to continue to breed, and for negativity and chaos to continue to grow. That is absolutely opposite everything that we are about. And anyone who claims to know anything about us, who has been watching our videos, who has been watching communions, who has been reading our literature, who has taken our classes, who has come to any temple event at any point in the past, would know from experience that chaos and drama and negativity is isfet. And we literally are what do we say to each other? We say, Ankh in Ma'at. We live in righteousness. We live in truth. We live in justice. That's who we are. That's what we strive to do. That's what we teach. That's what we're about. So this idea that we should be feeding into the chaos, like, from the start, is already like in a place that is so opposite of where we want to be. But naturally, enough of it has gone on that if we don't address it, it would be problematic. So we have no choice but to address it. And so we're going to address it. But my hope is that we're going to address it today, and then we're never going to speak about it again, because I don't want to keep giving them or their negativity this level of energy. I just don't think it's worth it. So let's dive right into it. So last Saturday we were at the International African Arts Festival. Many of you know that the Temple of Anu has had a consistent presence at the festival for about 6 or 7 years now. We've always been in the Jamak Jam section of the field. We've had great experiences vending at the festival. We've met so many amazing people and got a chance to see people who have followed us on Facebook or YouTube or on social media on Instagram, and we get to come out and see them in person right then and there. Uncle Manu from Henensu. Shout out to Henensu, to Anenser. To Anenser. All right. So I happened to be in the booth at the time with the Seshnisu Sanjeti and with Kopesh Kapresh, who are members of our royal court and part of our leadership structure in the Temple of Anu. We were sitting in the booth. I want to just start by acknowledging first and foremost that there is something going around from the Earth Center saying that they approached us or attempted to speak to us and we refused to give them audience. That is untrue. Okay. Not only did they not reach out to us prior to the festival, meaning they did not send an email, they did not send a text message, they did not attempt to call, they have made no efforts to reach out to us. We have mutual connections between us. Several of those mutual connections have reached out to me since the festival, but none of those mutual connections have reached out to me and asked us for audience prior to the festival, like asked us to give audience to the Earth Center before the festival. During the actual festival, on the day in question, the three of us were sitting in the booth and not a single member of the Earth Center walked 20 feet from their booth to our booth to initiate any form of dialogue, to ask questions, to get to know, to say they don't understand what we're teaching, they have a difference of opinion, can we set up a time to talk? None of that kind of dialogue took place at all. I was made aware of the sign. One of the brothers, I'm not sure which one of it was you, Sanjeti, said, do y'all see that sign? And I looked up and saw them walking around that sign with that sign. It said, the Temple of Anu and all other Kemetic organizations except Kebta are fake and are psyops. Okay. And again, the sign was posted to their Facebook page. We have pictures of the sign. They have pictures of the sign, etc. That's what the sign said. Inflammatory. Like, who wouldn't respond from a place of anger when you are not only accusing us of being fake, but you're accusing us of being government agents? It was completely problematic. And like, let's be clear, like, my mama was there. My siblings was there. My goddaughter was there, right? My spiritual family is there. You are insulting me. You are insulting my family. You are insulting my house. And you're doing it at a family-friendly, African-centered event. This is the energy that you bring to the International African Arts Festival. This is how you want to start the weekend. This is the energy you want at the festival, which is supposed to be about unity and collaboration and the ingenuity of the African mind. And instead, you make it about division and argument and chaos. I want to be very clear that if that was their attempt to start or initiate a dialogue or a healthy debate, it was a mistake. It was the wrong way to go about healthy debate. You do not start healthy debate from a position of insult and disrespect. Healthy debate and healthy dialogue, first and foremost, requires respect. So if you start it with disrespect, you already don't have what it takes for a healthy debate. You do not have what it takes. Now, I want to pause for a second, because in my reflections this week of the situation and the energy that I felt when it happened, I just want to give props to Sanjetti and to Kepresh. The three of us were in the booth, and they are trained martial artists. And I absolutely would have supported any feeling or instinct that they would have had to just run across the field and punch cats in the face. I would have supported that instinct entirely. I want to be clear, they did not do that. They did not put their hands on any member of the Earth Center. I want to reiterate for the record, no member of the Temple of Anu put their hands on another person during that incident at all, period. That is another fabrication, another untruth that I have heard that they are spreading. They told the IAF security that we hit them. That is not true. No member of the temple touched them during that incident, period, okay? But I would have respected the impulse for them to hit. Like, I would have respected that impulse if they had the impulse. What I do want to acknowledge is the level of just respect and trust that happened between me and them in that moment. Sanjetti and Kepresh turned to me, and they were saying words, but I gotta admit, I was so angry. I don't remember what words they were saying. I just remember they had this energy of, Hemet Neter, you are our high priestess. Tell us what you want us to do. And I remember having this energy of, y'all are my swords, y'all are my brothers, y'all are part of people, y'all are people, I trust y'all. Y'all are trained for this. And so I turned to them and I said, go handle it however you see fit. I want to just give them props that they respected me enough not to just run out there and do it. And also want to acknowledge that I respected them enough to let them take the lead in how we chose to handle that situation. And I point to that as an example of Ma'at in action, especially like in an organization, in spiritual organization, especially where there's hierarchical structure. Because sometimes people say that like hierarchy has problems, spiritual organizations shouldn't be set up this way. Every person should be allowed to lead themselves and things like that. Every person is allowed to lead themselves. At any point in time, they could have just did whatever they wanted to do. They technically didn't have to ask for permission. They didn't really ask for permission. They just chose to respect that as part of the organization, we move as one hand, one fist. That's what they chose to respect. And they chose to respect that whatever actions they took were going to reflect on the temple and reflect on me, reflect on Nasir, reflect on all of us. So they wanted to make sure I was going to be good with whatever actions they took. And trust me, I tell y'all, I would have been good with whatever actions they took. They approached them on the field with, again, attempts to have dialogue. Throughout the course of that situation, my understanding of that, I wasn't close enough to hear the dialogue, but my understanding of what happened was that the members of the Earth Center who were a part of that were not open to listening to the dialogue. We're not open to hearing the responses. You know, the session Sue was sharing, was answering their questions, was giving them information. They were not listening. They were not receiving. They were not open. Again, openness and listening are necessary components for healthy dialogue. If you claim that you were trying to have a healthy dialogue and you just wanted to talk, then you needed to be prepared to listen and get the answers that you were asking for. But you were either not willing to listen, or you were deliberately being obtuse when you got the answers. Like you were deliberately pretending not to understand the answers, because really you weren't trying to hear the answers. You just thought we didn't have answers when we very much did. I know Sanjetti wants to share some things, so I'm gonna let him go ahead and say that his part right here. Go ahead, Session Assist.
All right, testing. How's my volume? Good. Okay. So on that day, Saturday, I'm standing in front of our booth, and members of the Earth Center, one in particular, I believe he is the MER. We were told he's the MER. By the way, that's incorrect, but we'll come back to that. It's not MER, it's Emmy Ray. So they need to work on their grammar. So I was holding up the sign in question, looking in our direction. There was no dialogue. There was nothing prior to that. We had no confrontation whatsoever. In fact, members of this temple support the Earth Center. Well, supported, right? No longer will we support, by purchasing their calendars every year, like clockwork, getting their magazines, some of their books, so that we can be informed and we can see things that we have in common. This is another Kemetic group. And I've even pushed people getting their calendar. In fact, on the Tuesday talk, when I was featured on for the Shrine of Ma'at, I even recommended publicly their calendar because I said their calendar is accurate. I've checked it out. I have the resources, which technically means we really don't need them. I just complimented them. And when they had their base in Newark, New Jersey, that I personally visited multiple times to purchase their items, I met their, I think it was the executive head, Nekatium, I think that's his name. I met him right before his trip to Mali at that time. It's probably about 2 years ago. And he seemed to be a cool guy. We had no problems. We had no conflict. And, I made a transaction and he seemed to have a good spirit at the time. But now I'm questioning that, because once we had our weapon pet, and we're going to discuss that after the Mr. Biddy does his discussion, which they should know what weapon pet is. If you are a Kemetic person, basic, you should know what weapon pet is. So we even question your authenticity. You want to question us, that's basic. That's Egyptology 101. That's Kemetology 101. So we supported them every single year like clockwork. So this is an act of unprovoked aggression. It is the European ethos. It is European ethos. It is the same thing that Christian missionaries who came onto the continent to enact passive aggression. It is the same act where Islam came onto the continent with passive aggression. We recognize it. So this is not several hundred years ago where we don't know what's going on. We already know. Our great ancestors and scholars have informed us. The great ancestor Amos Wilson has informed us. John Henry Clark, Sheikh Ante Joe, the ancestor Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinan, the great ancestor Jacob Carruthers, and even some of our living scholars. Everyone need to get this book, Your Reason. So this is a play on the word Europe and reason. Get this book by Iwalamo Baruti. This will break it down so you understand what's going on.
I know those of you who are on Facebook cannot see Sanjetti. If y'all want to see him as he's speaking, y'all can join us on YouTube, but I hope y'all can hear him just fine. I'm seeing hearts and things across the Facebook screen, so I feel like y'all can hear him just fine. But on YouTube, we're doing a dual screen so Sanjetti can be seen as well as heard. I think we're going to get into some PowerPoints later. So when we get to that point of the conversation, we will make sure that y'all move over to YouTube so y'all can see those slides, etc. So this is the book he was talking about for the Facebook audience.
All right. And you also need to have this work here by Amos Wilson, The Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat Towards a Reclamation of the African Mind, edited by Sababa N. Plata. This is by Amos Wilson. You need to get this text. We have a whole plethora of texts that should be looked at.
No, they see it straight.
All right. So again, that text there, The Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat by Amos Wilson. In fact, all the works by Amos Wilson you should have. And since we're talking about Dogon, here we go. You should get the book Yurugu, An African-Centered Critique of European Cultural Thought and Behavior by our living scholar, Marimba Ani. And if you don't know the Dogon story of Yurugu, Yurugu is the personification of the European in the Dogon cosmology, because Amma, the great creator Amma, which is equivalent to Amun Ra, when he created male and female twin souls, one of these beings took himself out of the gestation period prematurely, premature birth. And Yurugu means incompleted one. And when this being Yurugu went about trying to create beings like himself, he realized these beings were incomplete like himself. So then he goes back to Amma to ask for a female twin soul. By that point, it was too late because Amma had given that female and balanced that female with another male. So this being, Yurugu, has been forever doomed to roam about the world incomplete. So what Yurugu does to compensate for this incompleteness is to seek power over others. It is a hole that can never be filled. It is a thirst that can never be quenched. You should also read 2000 Seasons by Aikwe Arma. Read the prologue, because they are the desert that knows no giving. That our teacher, that both Mr. Bidi, Rassam Kukepper, and myself, Sanjetti Agra, our teacher, Infodishi Jehudi Maska and Haru Hassan Kamal Salim, that's our African connection. He's from Tanzania. If you want to ask, what is our connection to the African continent? We have connections in Ghana. We have connections in Kemet. Our teacher, who's still alive, still goes to Kemet every year. In fact, he's been in Kemet twice this year, going back there. And we have relationships with people in Egypt right now. So, and again, we have way more than that, because we don't have time to go through the list of all the connections we have to the continent, not just Kemet, West Africa, South Africa, Central. We have connections. So anyway, on that day, just as Hemet Netter and Bar explained, Kopresh and I approached them, but we waited until they got to the where the food is, because we didn't want to do anything in front of the tent. So we were trying to be strategic, and we approached them. And I'm gonna give kudos to brother, my clan brother Mensara Ari Nefer, who joined us in approaching Isfet. Because if you believe in Ma'at, you destroy Isfet when you see it. The head deity of our temple is Ra, and Apep is the enemy of Ra. So when that chaos comes before you and it gives you this Yurugu approach, then we take it head on. We don't turn the other cheek, right? We're warriors. And we are spiritual warriors. You should get the book Spiritual Warriors and Healers by Infodishi Jehudi Meskan Haru.
Can I ask a question? Because I watched their video and they're accusing us of being off code by handling this public. Were we the first one to go public with this issue?
No, They went public with it as soon as they put that sign up at the festival. They went public with it. They not only put that sign up at the festival because we saw the sign as it crossed the field, but people started taking pictures of that sign. I got a picture of that sign from Hemet Or, okay, of the Shrine of Ma'at. So people were seeing that sign. As far as I'm concerned, you outside at a festival where there's hundreds or thousands of people, that's public. So what we did was address it. The next step was then we addressed it on Instagram, but they had already taken it public. And mind you, let's back up for a second because you said the issue taken public. We didn't know there was an issue until we saw a sign. Like, let's back up to that point. There was no issue between us and the Earth Center until we saw that sign. Again, we had no contact with them that would have let us know on any level that they had an issue, that there was a debate needed, that there was a dialogue needed, that there was anything requiring resolution. As Sanjetti indicated, members of the Temple of Anu have purchased their calendars, have purchased their books. We have studied their materials. We're familiar with the Earth Center's teachings. It's become very clear from their comments in my video, their comments in Jabari's video, and their responses to Sanjetti out in the field. They don't know what we teach. They don't know who we are. We're very clear about who they are and what they teach. We also don't see ourselves in competition with them or with any other Kemetic shrine. We prefer to see ourselves in collaboration with Kemetic shrines. We prefer to see ourselves in partnership with Kemetic shrines. As you know, we consider Shrine of Ma'at to be our sister shrine. We consider Nuaset Temple and Raseki Arts Temple to be sister temples to ours. We always speak highly of the Shrine of Baba Haru, founder of the Shrine of Ptah. We speak highly of the Saraset Society. We naturally speak highly of Infadisi Jehudimus and of his shrine, Kera Jehuti Herunepu, because that is the place where Nasibidi himself got his training and got his start in the Kemetic tradition. So we do not consider ourselves in competition. If you go back to my Instagram video that I posted on Sunday in response to their very public insult and disrespect of us, my response was I think in the comments, someone asked the question, how do you evaluate which temple is right for you or which organization? And I said, you have to study and you have to discern. And then I said, upon doing that, you may decide that the temple or the shrine that you're with is not the one for you. Doesn't mean it's a bad place. It just means it's not the one for you. And so you should then go find the house that's right for you. So for me, for the Temple of Anu, we've never seen Shrine of Ma'at or Nuaset Temple or Raseki Arts Temple as being in competition with us. If someone finds that the Temple of Anu is not the right place for us, we want them to find the right place. We want them to find the place that's going to allow their light to shine. We want them to find the place that's going to allow their African genius to emerge. We want them to find the place where they're going to get the nurturing and the spiritual support that they're seeking. And if that's not here, then we support that. And here's a list of alternative places. In fact, allow me to help put you in touch. We've done that. We've given people lists of other temples where they could go. We've given people contact information for places that they could go. We have never stopped people from finding information and seeking truth wherever it is that they need to find it. So this idea that like only one place could be the place of truth is so anti-Kemetic. Were there not temples and shrines up and down the Happy River? Did not people worship in ancient Kemet differently, depending on what nome or what place you were in? Did they not have different Neteru in different houses that approach their relationship to the divine in different ways? So are not people allowed to find the way that aligns with their spirit and their need? That is the ancestral way. That is what the Kemetic teachings show us. That's the example we're supposed to follow. And anything other than that, competing with other African people, that is not African. Competing with other people is not the African way, period. It's so Eurocentric, it's not even crazy. It's not even funny. I want to reiterate too, the awareness that we have at this point to the fact that they don't know what we teach. Some of the things Sanjetti shared here with y'all are things that he attempted to share with them on the field. Some of the comments that they made, we ended up blocking a bunch of them from our Instagram page. Unfortunately, you can't see those comments, but some of the comments that they made to my Instagram post on the Temple of Anu page made it very clear that they don't know who we are. They've never watched the Communion. They've never read our literature. They've never come to the temple. They don't know what we teach. So you're making accusations as to what we teach when you don't have a foundation. You can't accuse us or ask us. The second day after I put that Instagram video out, they put out another sign in the field. So we arrived at the field to a sign that said academia and scholarship is not tradition. And I have to admit that I laughed because that's what we teach. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we teach. If you've ever heard Baba Haru talk about why he started the Shrine of Ptah, it was because he was inspired by the academia and scholarship. And he said to himself in 1968, why should we just study this? This academia and scholarship is not tradition. Let us bring back the living tradition. Let us actually live the culture. If we're pointing this and saying this is the pride of Africa, why are we not putting these principles into action? Our motto in the Temple of Anu is from the living legacy, from the ancient legacy to the living legacy, which means looking back at the ancient texts, looking back at the ancient information, looking back at our ancestors for guidance in how it is that we live today, bringing the tradition back to life. We don't just study the tradition, we live the tradition. Sure. We pray to the Neteru on a daily basis. We celebrate holidays for the Neteru. Almost every month we have a holiday to the Neteru. We have ancestral practices, okay? We have rites of passage practices. We have birthing practices and birthing rituals that we do. We have marriage rituals that we do. We have a living tradition that has been reconstructed in this country for over 50 years. To make an accusation that we rely solely on academia, no, the academia and the scholarship informs how you reconstruct the tradition. The academia and the scholarship gives direction and foundation to how you bring the tradition back to life. The academia and the scholarship allows you to understand what to bring back to life. It allows you to figure out, okay, this is how our ancestors did it 5,000 years ago. How can we adapt this practice that they had so that it makes sense for us right here, right now? How can we make sure it empowers us in the here and now? And some of y'all are like, Hemet, we've heard you say that before. Of course you have, because you follow the Temple of Anu and you pay attention to our teachings. This is not a new thing. This is not a new concept to us. That is what we've always been doing. That is what we've always been teaching. We were blessed when the Session joined us years ago to help continue. Nasut and I was already doing research and scholarship, but he brings a whole nother level of academia and scholarship to what we do and helps us to push that forward and strengthen that even more. We've had regular Meduneta classes that we've encouraged our members to be a part of, led by the Session and things like that. This is not, we're not new to this, we true to this. Like, I don't know what they think we was doing. So again, going back to you trying to have a conversation that you are not equipped to have. You do not even have the range for this conversation. You are not built for this. You don't know, what are you talking about? You in the wrong place at the wrong time, sir. I'm sorry, I'm rowdy.
Don't apologize.
No apologies needed. In addition, yes, I think this is Wefet posting this, that we know that their attack was premeditated, that they posted a video. We found this out after the attack already took place. One of our members, Sondiket, came to the festival on Sunday, and he found a video of theirs on YouTube from 2 days before the festival. On Instagram, thank you. From 2 days before the festival, yes. In saying that their intention was to come to the festival to start stuff with us. In the video, they were saying something like, we know our booth will be right next to theirs. We're gonna see how much we're gonna see what we can start with them. So when you say you're trying to have a healthy debate, but we have evidence that your intention is to sow seeds of chaos, then that puts your whole argument into question. You are not being honest about your intention. You are not being honest about what you're trying to accomplish. You are not being honest about the stages in which this whole situation has taken place. You're telling people we struck you, we hit you. You're telling people we denied conversation with you. These are all things that are not true.
Lies.
Not true. And I know the Earth Center teachers have some measure of something in there that say you ain't supposed to be being dishonest. Come on. How do y'all think this is okay for y'all? You're going against your own teachings. I'm not holding you to a standard that's mine. I'm holding you to your own standard. You're going against your own teachings from your own teacher.
That was an act of war, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They call it revolution.
Yeah, right.
They
I don't know
want
how-
smoke.
They want smoke.
They want
And they
smoke,
getting it.
and this is a revolution.
And they getting it.
Repeat what she said so they can hear. They part of
Oh.
the conversation.
Guy, what did you said? They
I
wanted.
said they asked for all the
They
smoke.
asked for all the smoke. And I said, and
They're
they
not ready
getting
for
it. No, they're not ready for it. They're not. They should have did their research. They should have asked about us first. Asked about us.
They would have been better for them to say, Temple Vanu, we have some commonality. Let's do a program together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if they were smart and they wanted to, get their numbers up because people are not checking for them.
Right.
They ain't got nothing to do with us. Has all things to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
They should have said, let's do some programs together. Let's do a festival together. That's what you should have did, but it's too late.
It definitely is now. Lastly, I want to, or maybe not lastly, I don't know how long I'm going to talk. I'm sorry. I know you need to talk too. This is a long communion, y'all. I know there was a video that they did on Friday night. I didn't watch the video. I've heard enough about the video. I want to just start by saying that I'm not surprised that they made personal attacks against me or anybody else. That's what you do when you run out of ideas. Like, I'm not surprised. They didn't have nowhere else to go. They didn't have nowhere else to go but to attack me, Jabari, Baba Haru, personally. They didn't have nowhere else to go. They can't make an ideological argument. They can't, they have nothing to stand on because they don't know what we believe. They don't know what we teach. They don't know who we are. So they can't make an argument based on its merits. They can't make an argument based on our philosophy or on our teachings. They can't do it. So they resorted to basic, unoriginal, personal attacks. And it's whack. It's real whack. And it just genuinely speaks to their character. Like I'm really just in this place where I'm like, okay, so that's really who y'all are. This is y'all character. Okay? That when push comes to shove and when you feel pushed up against the wall, that your resort is to attack me personally and call me out my name and attempt to say negative things about me. Let me be very clear. They did not share anything with the community that I have not already shared with the community. Have I not been on this very platform telling y'all I'm imperfect? Have I not been on this very platform telling y'all that I've been dancing? Have I not been on Instagram sharing my dance journey? Have I not been on this very platform telling y'all that I've been working on my self-esteem issues, that I've been working on setting boundaries, that like, have I not been on this very platform telling you who I am as a person, telling you I'm working on me just like I'm encouraging you to work on you? I have been on this very platform being very public and very honest about the fact that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And sometimes that means I'm more human than I am spiritual. And my journey every single day is to bring myself into balance. And I have talked to y'all about that as my journey and use my journey as inspiration to encourage you all to not give up on your journey of bringing yourself into balance every single day, constantly and consistently doing that work, because it doesn't matter if we fall short. It only matters if we keep striving. That's the goal. Right? The goal is Amatu and Panatir, Salwek Tuament and Panatir, Audu Auma Keti Paheru. Do it tomorrow like you did it today. So you keep trying over and over and over to get it right. I have never once claimed any measure of perfection. I have never once said that I don't have things about me to attack. I have never once said that I got it all together. I have never once said those things. So for you to then be like pointing out that like I'm imperfect, like, okay, thank you. I didn't need you to point that out. I was aware of that. Y'all were all aware of that. The question is, what do y'all as the Earth Center have to offer? That's the question. What do y'all have to offer to the people? What are y'all teaching the people? What is being reflected through the character and the behaviors that you have to demonstrate? That's what I want to know, because that's what we strive to do. We strive to show through our character that the living tradition is about doing the work of cultivating the character. What are y'all trying to show to people? That's the question, period. And I'm not telling y'all how to feel about them or how to feel about us. But like I said on my Instagram post, it is our job to discern who people are and when they show us to believe them. So when you see what we do through our character, through our behavior, through our talks, through our celebrations, through our holidays, through our teachings, through our actions, we in these streets, we in the community. You see who we are. Believe us through our actions. Our actions are reflective of our character, and our character is who we are. And when y'all see who they are, through their Instagram posts, through their Facebook posts, through their teachings, through their behavior in these streets, then I want y'all to believe who they are. Because their actions are reflective of their character, and their character is who they are. And that's all I have to say about that.
Could y'all believe I told her to, give a summary of 5 minutes? And these took over the whole thing. They ain't left me nothing. They ain't got nothing to say. The communion's over. In closing, could you bring some, because it seems like subtlety is lost upon the youth sometimes, and they had something to say about one of your posts about unbecoming. They appeared not to understand why you said something about every day is about unbecoming, and they made a correlation between the Neteru Ra, which they mean Keperu Ra, which is talking about becoming. So they feel like what you were teaching is in contradiction to the Kemetic teaching.
Yeah. So I appreciate you asking me about that. One of the things that has come up for me and recently was, working through like this idea of trying to become a divine being, right? And some of y'all know, if you've been following us, y'all know that I have a best friend who passed away in December. I have been struggling with that and other things in the last 18 months and really releasing my grief and healing over some of these things. And so I came to a place of realizing that sometimes we identify too much with our traumas, and we think our traumas and our pain are who we are. And we think we have to we think we have to create our divinity. But that's opposite, actually, of what the teachings tell us. The teachings tell us that we are manifestations of the divine, that the Neteru exists within us as us, right? Again, I quoted that saying. I think Infidisi might be the right person to attribute that saying to. We are divine beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We say that all the time, which means our traumas are not who we are. Our spirit is who we are. Our divinity is who we are. Our true selves is our divinity. And we go through things in this world, right? We go through things that harm us. We go through bad relationships. We go through bad experiences at work. We go through bad family dynamics. We go through problems and issues, car accidents, etc. These things cause trauma on us. They cause baggage on us. They cause us pain. They cause us to be unhappy. And then we think we have to re-find or re-become divine. Our divinity never leaves us. The Neteru never leave us. If our divinity is who we are and it is our soul, it never leaves you. Where can it go? It is you. It is who you are. It is your flesh. It is your blood. The Neteru exists within you as you. It never leaves. We lose sight of our divinity because we get so caught up in the things that are not really us. So when I said we had to unbecome, I was talking about shedding the layers of all the things that are not really who you truly are. Shed the layers of your trauma, shed the layers of your pain, shed the layers of your past, shed the layers of your sadness, because underneath all of that, you are going to find your divinity has always been shining and thriving and waiting for you to realize it. It's not a thing you have to create. It is a thing you are, period. And that's what that was about. And I felt like when I posted it, many of you understood that, and that many of you resonated with that knowing that you are a child of the Most High. You are the Neteru in physical form. You are divinity incarnate, and it is our task to heal ourselves, cleanse ourselves, purify ourselves, so our light, our goodness, our power can shine through. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So on that side.
Wow, it's a long day for them. That was an hour opener. I guess it's time for the community to put on their shoes and shoes. So Hemet's passed me the mic, so I'll start off with some hip hop from X-Clan by saying, "You're pissing me off because you swear you're higher level. Back to your cage. Get yourself together." X-Clan, Grand Verbalizer, Brother Jay. Okay, let's get into it. I want to start by quoting one of the ancestors, Ankh Shashanki. Since they keep trying to indict us, they kept saying, who's really standing on the teachings of Kim? So let today be a lesson of who's really standing on the teachings of Kim. According to Ankh Shashanki, he says, even the smallest serpent, even though it could be small, its venom is still poisonous. It says, know your enemy because they may already be within. And I think I told y'all the last two communities, I said that Dr. Zawi Howes, I said he's a non-factor. He is not a threat. When it comes to African people, our threat always comes from amongst us, within ourselves and amongst us. So with that being said, welcome to Communion. And we're going to start because they made a lot of things petty. And they like to cast, they try to cast aspersion on our reputation that we spent like 30 years trying to build up. So we start with communion since they said, what's that? They said we're trying to lead people back into Christianity. They said we're pretty much blackface in Christianity. They said, what is that? They said we might as well do the Black Jesus thing, something like that or something that order. I tried watching the video. So let's start with that. I'm African-American or I'm American African. Parallel to this Kemetic legacy, my culture is hip hop. So when I came up with the title of Communion, I called myself being clever because that's a double entendre. In hip hop, we use double entendres when you have a word that has a double meaning, but it is not unique to just hip hop. Double entendres is unique to the Sesh, to the language of Africa, to all African language. There's double entendres, there's triple entendres. It's called layers. Matter of fact, the whole of African culture is a double and triple entendre. How do we know this? Let somebody say something about shrines are demonic and ancestors worship is demonic and idol worship and stuff. Everybody start coming out the woodwork. Oh, what you don't understand, brother, is this sign, this statue is a symbol of this, and we wear this color because it's a symbol of that. I wear this on my left side. Now you see how people selectively want to tap in when they understand double, triple entendres or layers of meanings of things. So when I said communion, I gave everybody benefit of the doubt that they had the wits or the intelligence to make that connection of what I did with the word play. So let us go. Kim is a word that for the past 50 years, the whole community has affectionately embraces the Kemetic word for Black. And then you have union. So it's the union of Kemites. So on a Sunday, we have a union of Kemites where we discuss our Afro-Kemetic legacy, because we are Africans. So we study all Africa. So we study the connections and the interconnections of Africa. So we spend our time, we dress African, we do our Hesi, we do our drums, we give our messages coming from the Afro-Kemetic text, not blackface in the Bible or the Quran and nothing like that. So we spend our time trying to have the most African-centered experience, period. So now I feel like it's disingenuous when people want to act goofy like they didn't understand the connection. Some of the cats in the scholar circle try to act goofy like that too. So now you understand Kim Union is the union of Kemites and not communion in the body and blood of Christ. There's no body of blood of Christ. There's no body and blood of Haru, since people be trying to play that thing with Haru and Jesus. We're not doing the body and blood of Haru either. So I'll tell you what sounds Christian is y'all teacher Master Nam. I remember how y'all was promoting them back then. He came up, he said, Master Nam is from such and such Mali. He is the only one given permission by the elders, the mysterious elders, so we could say Amen. He was the only one given permission by Amen to teach the Kemetic teachings. which was a slight to the rest of the Kemetic community, and none of us thought anything about it. Nobody ever dissed Master Nava. It was never an issue. He never took no shots at the community. As far as I'm concerned, amongst the elders and the teachers in our circle, his name never, if ever, came up. So I don't understand the vitriol of the youth, because they made it seem like we all crapped on Nava's name, and we didn't. So he said he's the only one, or they said he's the only one given permission to teach the Kemetic teachings. But like I said, which is a slight, that was his shot to the rest of the community that was already doing it 30 years before him. So now fast forward to past week in 2023, they have the sign. It says Temple of Anu and all other Kemetic organizations are fake and psyops except Kedta. It's the same message, just a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more stank on it. Mm-hmm. So when I saw the sign, him that text me the sign, I was just like, who is that? I never even heard of Kedta. I thought, I always knew they were the Earth Center, so maybe they're rebranding themselves. And the name probably always was that, but for some reason they're leading with Kedta now. So I said, they even look like Israelites. I said, that's very Israelitish of them. Y'all know the Israelites do the Judeo-Christian concept, so they believe in Jesus in the Bible and all that. It reminds me of ISP UK. Big up to ISP UK, the home of the truth. According to, we're not casting any aspersions on them. We're just bringing it up for reference. So big up to them under the leadership of Commanding General Yohana. So they safe in this conversation. This conversation is about clarity amongst what's going on with our family.
Right.
So according to ISP UK, they got created some time in the 60s and the 70s. I don't know the name of the leadership. I'm just giving you general overview of the facts. So back then they were teaching that in the year 2000, the end of the world was coming. They was into the prophecies, and it was a big organization. So when 2000 came, it was, y'all know how the prophecies get kind of crazy. And when 2000 came, it was insultingly quiet. No thunder, no lightning, the sky's not cracking, Jesus not coming. All the stuff that they was planning and teaching people for the past 30 years didn't come into fruition. So that caused a fracture in ISP UK. So you had everybody broke off into different camps. So they still, the Hebrew Israelite traditions still were around, but they were fractured. So as time went on, ISP UK got organized under Commanding General Yohana. So they said, ISP UK is the home of the truth. We are not associated with any other Israelite camp. So that was their call to tell all the other camps, y'all illegitimate, come back home, we're gonna get things back together. Remember, they're a Judeo-Christian thing. They believe in Jesus and all of that stuff. Old Testament, New Testament. Some of them are Old Testament, some of them are New Testament. But this whole Jesus Christian thing is in there, or what we understand to be Christian philosophy is in there. Now watch, pay attention. Now who said this? I am the truth. I am the light. I am the way. No man comes to the Father except by the Son.
Sounds like Jesus.
That sounds like Jesus, Christianity. So we went from Jesus, you saw that parallel with Jesus, you saw it in ISP UK, we're the home of the truth. Now Kedta, everybody else is fake except us. So who's more Christian at that point?
Come on with it.
So, in respect, you could call it parallelism. So over here amongst American Africans, we've all specialized in how Christianity purposely took parallels from the Kemetic tradition. So when y'all be thinking we copying them, we just be exposing how they purposely and conscientiously drew inspiration from the Kemetic teaching. Mm-hmm. So let us K-E-M, let us keep energy moving, because there's so much to cover. So we're going to start today's lesson with Seba, teaching, Sabbat, a lesson. And the lesson is Ked Nefer. In the Temple of Anu, we understand what Ked Nefer is. We're, I'm trying to teach the lesson.
He was early. He was too early with it.
The Temple of Anu, understand, since everybody there's this accusation of who's standing on the Kemetic tradition or the Kemetic teachings. Where do we get it? We got it from the text. Do they understand what that is over there? Apparently, based off of watching the video that they did yesterday and the video that they did before and their behavior at the festival and the video of the before the festival, they must have missed class on what Ked Nefer means. Ked Nefer is good character. So we're trying to be fair to the people of their community, because some of them actually are students of some of us, and some of the teachers in our community, they formerly didn't think they had any problem. So like in the words of the KRS-One, we say class is in session, so you can stop guessing. Quête nefer. So everybody today, I feel like they're watching for answers. Some people are watching what's going to be our response, and some people are like, what's going to be the reaction? I don't think any of the people that knew us didn't think we didn't have answers. For some reason on their other side, they didn't think we had answers. And some people are wondering, like, how are we going to deal with the disrespect? But the Temple of Anu is an OG on the spot. How old is that temple?
The temple, the Earth Center, was founded in 1998 based on the information on their website.
And when was
The Temple of Anu was founded in 1996.
And what was Infidisi?
I think you said 1986.
And Shechem and Shechem.
1973.
Baba Hebrew.
1968.
Y'all see the pattern going around? We're the OGs on the set. So we can't be out here wilding around. So we're gonna have an intelligent, since they said they was using the word intelligent conversation, did you believe they had the nerve to say that we're emotional? You poke the bear and the bear responding, you like, chill.
Why is the bear bad?
Jabari made a 3-minute video. Check it out. Jabari made a 3-minute video, and these cats went on for over 2 hours, being emotional, calling names and things like that. So let's get into it. By the way, members of your community have reached out to us, disgusted and embarrassed about your behavior. They told that behavior that y'all doing is against y'all very own teachings. That's why Baba said y'all was un-ma'at. And I saw your video, you're like, un-ma'at, what is that? What is un-ma'at? Right. What is Unc and Ma'at?
Right.
Why does the uninitiated in our community know what Ma'at is, and why y'all asking what Ma'at is? You gotta say
Ma'at or win Ma'at. It is a negation. So against. So Ma'at means Ma'atic. Basic. Okay? Basic. And we can confirm that in the text because we can read the text.
There you go. So Ma'at means you're not on the level. That's not the right way to go. So now let us keep on moving with standing on the teachings of Kim, which they call it standing on the teachings of Kim. Who's standing on it? So I'm going to quote Mary Kare. I know who Mary Kare is. I hope they know who Mary Kare is. Respectfully, I hear them speak affectionately about their elders and the elders on the continent. And I'm going to say this. I have respect for their tradition. I know they're connected to the Dogon. I think it's actually authentic. But I feel like it's misleading when they go Dogon and they make it interchangeable with Kim and make it seem like the Dogon is a repository of all Kemetic knowledge. So what you have over there is actually a syncretism, and Africans are known to do syncretism. They link and interconnect things to make things more powerful. So if they were honest over there, they would say that they have a syncretic blend of Dogon, Afro-Dogon Kemetic spirituality. That could clear up all this confusion right there if everybody's honest across the board that Africans have a tendency to be syncretists. There's no harm, no foul. So they have their elders, and we have elders too, but I'm talking about Mary Kare. We getting it right from the hand or the mouth of the ancestor. There's no need to guess. There's no need to go through the back door of other traditions to understand Kim philosophy. Unless when they say Kim philosophy, they talk about Black African philosophy. Maybe they need to clarify more on that. Because when people tend to use the word Kim or Kemetic, we talking about the Northeast corridor of Africa. We tend to be talking about Kemet proper when people use that word Kim. When people are talking Africa, I think people tend to use the word Al-Kibulan. There's other words, whatever, but when you use that word Kim, it's like ancient Egyptian specific. I'm sorry, I'm cooking too much. It's too hot. They got fans and stuff like that. We going overtime this after 2. So should we part 2 it, y'all?
This is a special.
No, because I want to talk about it and then we moving on with our lives. We got wet for pet in 2 weeks. We ain't talking about them in 2 weeks. You kidding?
Hey, she's spoken. So what does Mary Kare say? He says, more acceptable is the character of the righteous person than the sacrificial ox of the wrongdoer. I'm gonna go again. More acceptable is the character, Ket Nefer, of the righteous person than the sacrificial ox of the wrongdoer. So our ancestors tend to be anachronistic, meaning they could transcend time. So we have some insight from the past to tell us about the contrast between being and doing. Because there tends to be this new thing amongst practitioners of ATR, different tradition. Everybody's trying to out-Africanize each other. Even Earth Center, they want to be more African. These fools try to say that we're ashamed of being African. That's insulting. They said, and then check it out, they wage war on the Black community. And they think their flex is infusing their tradition with Eurasian. So you don't like Temple of Anu, you don't like Shrine of Ma'at, you don't like Baba Haru, you don't like Shechem and Shechem, you don't like Infidisi. And so just in case y'all don't know that didn't see the video, they said they coming for the Moors next. They said they coming for the Muslims next. We know the Moors and the Muslims are Black. So you pretty much hate the Black community, and your flex is loving Europeans and infusing them into your culture. And so you're officially mad at the Black community for not loving Europeans. And just so y'all clear, being pro-Black doesn't mean being anti-white. We just put us first.
We put us first.
And we study all of African traditions across Africa, and clearly we come up with a different conclusion that you all did. We believe that the way y'all going is how we got up in this mess in the first place. But let me continue with Mary Carey. We got the contrast between being and doing. And I said everybody's trying to out-Africanize each other. They be like, we do blood sacrifice. Do y'all do blood sacrifice over there? We put a straw in our mouth and we go out in the bush and we do all types of abstract things. Do y'all put straws in your mouth and go out in the bush and do abstract things? And this is not casting no aspersion. It's African culture. Remember, we say it's double, triple entendre. But everyone has this one-upmanship concept, trying to one-up each other on being Black. And nobody's having the real discussion of the essence of the issue. Are you being the best version of yourself at any given time? That's the essence. So if all this ritualistic busyness leaves you to present yourself as a jackass to the community, then your sacrificial ox was all for nothing. You're just a wrongdoer. That wrongdoing is on ma'at. It's not on the level. It is not the right way to go. According to the text of Ani, it says, no fault is found in good character, but unjust character is always the blame.
That's right.
So today, as y'all see, it's not looking good for them over there. Their actions is speaking louder for themselves. I'll repeat, no fault is found in good character, ked nefer, but unjust character is always the blame. So I watched the video. I tried to watch the video. It's over 2 hours. There's only so much of that nonsense one can take. I watched about an hour. And what I noticed about the video, I saw a lot of childishness. I saw a lot of immaturity. I saw a lot of name calling, casting aspersion. I heard a lot of calling people out their name. So in summary, y'all are disrespectful as, yeah, I thought I was gonna go there.
We washing our mouths over here, y'all.
Now that I got everybody's attention, I respect their tradition. I believe their tradition. I believe it comes from a very beautiful place. They have elders. I believe their elders are probably very profound. But that behavior that y'all been displaying has done injustice to the beauty of that tradition. You've done injustice to your elders. I heard the young man brag and said, if you think I'm bringing smoke, talk to my elders. They'll bring you smoke too. If that's the case, then y'all let down your elders in Africa in your tradition. I find myself hard pressed to believe that somebody gave y'all the okay to do what it is that you're doing. Just from hearing from members from your own community, giving y'all the official side eye. So there's some discord going on in your community that y'all gonna have to find y'all resolution in that. So I know my parents are from the South. I know your parents from the South. Everybody's parents are from the South. There's certain Africanisms that's in our blood as Africans, where they say what's understood don't need to be said.
Right.
So I know that we all were raised, if you get smacked in the mouth and your chest caved in if you disrespected any elder or older. It's the same word, evolution of the same word or older. So they're on there purposely disrespecting our elder. And I'm like, is that what your elders gave y'all the green light to do that? Interestingly, remember, y'all technically, the community got their choosing shoes on. You ask who's standing on the teachings of Kim. So let's go to the teachings of Kim then. The text of Amenemo. You want to read that?
Sure, I'll read it.
Get our Israelite on.
Amenemope. If you see a person, your senior outside, walk behind him or her respectfully. Give also a hand to elders filled with beer. Respect them as their children would.
All right, stop.
Mhm.
Go 2 sentences back.
Give also a hand to elders filled with beer.
All right. Remember, because subtlety escapes them.
Mhm.
Just be going over their head. They'd be like, what is he even talking about? We didn't talk about anybody drinking beer. We didn't talk about any, talking about inebriated, being off your center, off points. That's your accusation against Baba Heru. That's your accusation against all of us. Y'all just think we crazy or whatever. What does it go on to say?
It says, respect them as their children
Boom,
would.
stop. So that brother on that tape said, I'm not respecting you. You're fake. You're not a real elder. What does it say again?
Respect them as their children
So
would.
it don't matter what tradition you come from. Don't matter what circle you come from. You respect the elders and you respect the elders. Go ahead. Okay.
The strong arm is not weakened by being uncovered. The back is not broken by bending it in respect. Keep going.
Yeah.
Better is a poor person who speaks pleasant words than a rich person whose words are harsh and dry as straw. A pilot who sees far ahead will not wreck the ship on rocks.
This is the teachings of Kim. On that video, I saw a lot of opinions and views that y'all try to pass off as African philosophy. We getting it right from the mouths of the ancestors. So in summary, y'all are all witnessing in live time, you do not get to disrespect elders, regardless if they come from your community. Elders get respected across the board. Case closed on that.
Right.
So I'm telling y'all, keep your eye on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying not to be messy, but understand if it gets messy, it's because things have been set in motion that was beyond my control. They chose the pace of this. I know we living in a time where everyone's all funny about gender politics and gender fluidity. Well, I'm a male and I'm a man, and I say that unapologetically. I'm chief and king up in this. I'm talking about principle. I'm talking about being an adult. I watched that video. They were proud to say that they the youngins. They pretty much said in summary, forget the stuff Naba was on. We the young ones and we claiming it. Y'all embrace that. So I said, okay. Well, I'm the elder, I'm the older. They got that hip hop energy. They doing that Tupac thing, the middle fingers up. I don't care what nobody say. Chips fall as they may. I get it, but I'm from hip hop too. And rest in peace and power to brother Tupac. But my influence is KRS-One. And KRS-One is still with us. KRS-One is the elder scholar, god of hip hop, the boogeyman of hip hop. So that's what I'm taking on right now. So we could do the energy. And so if y'all gonna do the Tupac thing, let you be forewarned, because we all of us from the older generation, we see that doesn't lead to a good place. You cannot stay in that energy. I checked y'all energy out, and y'all not built like that to go against the whole of the Black community. You're not built like that. Your elders did not teach you that, to go against the whole of the community. So we seen that not work. When you try to stay in that energy too long, you're either gonna get hurt, you're gonna get unalived, you're gonna go to jail, or a case pending going to jail, or mentally broken, meaning mental illness. And there's a saying that says, whom the gods want to destroy, they first make mad. And as I listen to y'all, all the videos and y'all behavior, y'all are expressing symptoms of some type of mental instability. There appears to be no introspection, no circumspection. Y'all on a dangerous course. And I say, may the nectar of your ancestors spare you from whatever fate that could be if you stay in that energy too much. And I ain't even feeling or liking y'all disrespectful cats right now. And I don't wish harm on y'all. So I'm just forewarning y'all, y'all need to be careful with that energy. You don't bring that thing into spirituality. That's the OG speaking. And if you don't like it, if you see me out on the street and your energy ain't right, like Kapadonna said in Wu-Tang, tell your story walking. Because I don't play. So we dealing with some adult things. And we're used to this heat. We're used to this heat coming from the scholars. We were just talking about, seemed like periodically, it's annually somebody want to come up and disrespect us about something. And that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Like the scholars think what we do is silly too, but what the scholars think what y'all do is silly also. According to the latest, one of the more prominent scholars, he said, what we do, Earth Center as well as us, is represent, it is the reason why Kim failed. And I said, that's incorrect. What we all do is why it prospered and why everybody's still talking about it now. It is human beings humaning, doing that human thing is why Kim failed, not the tradition. And we haven't been doing, collectively, we haven't been doing the tradition since back then too. So how's it working out for us without doing the tradition?
Right.
So that undermines that. But I'm not deflecting. I'm not trying to put it on a certain group of scholars. I'm making a contrast between the scholars, them and us. We're all in our own lane and we have some similarities and it feels like for the most part, we're going to a very similar place, but it becomes a problem when you want to harm me in my lane. I'm staying in my lane, or for some reason you feel like I got to not exist in order for you to prosper in your thing. That smarts of insecurity, people. That's what our community said. You need to do some more shadow work. You got some things that you need to work on if it's bothering you like that. We have a principle in the tradition called Jehuti. Jehuti is the personification and the embodiment of articulate thought, word, speech, and deep mind. That's what my teacher taught me. That's what we teach in the temple. The scholars even believe that. I know y'all believe that over there too. I know it because that's what I'm doing now. I'm articulating myself. Now, that gift of Jehuti is a gift, and it's a shame that the scholars and you all are using that gift instead of elevating and celebrating another African-centered organization, incrementally getting to their goals of success. Instead of using your words to celebrate and elevate, you're using it to defame and demoralize. And that's disgusting.
Yep.
In our tradition, we teach that everything that happens to you, you're intimately involved on some level or another. So on some level, you have to take responsibility. And I know our community is like, listen, what did we do to bring this thing upon us? How do we bring this thing upon us? And what is this talk about who's fake and authenticity? I feel like Temple of Anu is one of the places, only places on the planet where you could come and we'll say, this is according to the Ptah Hotep, this is according to Amenemhotep. We're getting it direct from the text in the walls. And we'll tell you when we have to reconstruct something in a way that's feasible for us. I got word from my elder that we have to just be more expansive about what the tradition is. We say there's Simatawi, Smaitawi, the unification of the upper and lower. I don't know if they know that over there. The scholars say, well, it's the unification of the upper Kemet and lower Kemet. They say it's dealing with politics. But we all know that we're spiritualists, so everything starts with energy. Everything starts with deep thought and deep thinking for us. So it takes the leadership to unify certain principles within themselves before they try to do it on the physical level. So as energy precedes the physical matter. So people are out here wanting us to be on this other level. Unify, we need to unify, but it would be fake if everybody's not doing the inner work. What did Lawrence Hill say? How you gonna win if you ain't right within? How you gonna win when you ain't right within?
Come again.
You finish it out. You got the hip. Hey, it's a different type of animal over here with the Temple of Anu. So we all are pulling from Smaitawi, the unification of the two lands. More appropriately, we'll say Hapi Itaru, the Nile Valley civilization. Kemet was just the northeast corridor of Africa. So our elder said, expand on that. Not just limit ourselves to Kemet. And when we're talking Kemet, it's Smaitawi, Hapi Valley, we're talking Old Kingdom, New Kingdom, all of that. And all of us have a syncretic blend of all of the research we did from the beginning, pre-dynastic, all the way to the end. All of us, Earth Center, everybody is pulling from all of that. So to talk Smaitawi and let us all just get along with our people doing the inner work, it brings me back to what y'all started at the beginning. I thought we was cool with Earth Center. We've been out there for 6 years. Hey, what's going on? Let us out have small talk or whatever. Matter of fact, like my Earth Day is that weekend, and one of our initiates bought me a present. It was a $300 present. It was one of the astrology scenes from getting real big. Got it from Earth Center. We like, yeah, let's get it from Earth Center. So we giving these cats money over the course of the years. We supposed to be making green together, not be mean. So we spending money, we buying their publications, sharing energy, and do you know, like, so I think that same year, one of their elders came to our booth and sat and talked to me for an hour. And he spoke about, because he said he was a student of Info DC, he said he was a student of Baba Hiru, and he talked about the issues of what he didn't learn. So I had to get him up to date on how the legacy is being practiced, and he was cool. And we exchanged numbers with the intention on discussing how Earth Center and Temple of Anu could further work together. Because, you know, because we talked about the Sadrus, the unification and the restoration of the traditions of the land. So now y'all see how what they did was a sucker punch to us. We thought we was cool. So I'm asking y'all all in the chat, will Earth Center be guilty of being the embodiment of smiling in your face and talking behind your back? Wouldn't that be fake? Wouldn't that be inauthentic? And then, so now we're starting to see who's standing on the teachings of Kim, and it's not looking good for them. And I ain't even trying hard right now. This is supposed to be basic stuff. So, once again, so what did we do to bring this upon ourselves? We ain't did nothing but look good. And I saw them trying to clown us, looking, yo, bro, y'all look weird with the big aunts and the funny clothes and stuff. We're wearing the white. And I said,
Like they wouldn't want one of those aunts.
exactly.
Come on, man.
How was that not? Masterclass in the Baba Hiru studio.
They're gorgeous. They're gorgeous, baby. Yes.
So they, you know, they made fun of the white. I said, what's this thing that goes on in our community that they make fun of Black folks wearing white? Last time I checked, the Ifa people wear white. Santeria wear white. The Akan wear white. And I think they even the Earth Center wears white. So I'm gonna pass some session. So you ready to deal with the wearing white issue? I don't know if that was, I know they said something about the purple, but I thought I remember them saying, laughing at us about our white robes. So, and I would say you will be hard pressed if you're studying Kemet to find them wearing any other color but white. I haven't seen nobody wearing a whole red joint up in Kemet. Everybody appears to be wearing white, but I'm gonna pass the mic to the Session Sue.
Session Sue, are you about to share slides? All right, so those of you who are on Facebook, Sanjetti is about to share some slides with us to deal with this issue. So if you want to see the slides, switch over to YouTube now so you can see the slides as she shares them. You should still be able to, if you stay on Facebook, you'll still be able to hear the conversation. But if you want to see the slides, you'll want to jump over to our YouTube channel. All right, go ahead, Sanjetti.
Maybe we can give them 60 seconds to do that. Switch over.
60 seconds with the AC on, bro.
There are a lot of Africans in this room. We just about always have Wafat Makra with us. The Kerhev is here. Our elder, Armin Kau, is here. And then, of course, the Session Susan Jetty is here, along with his wife, Kaika, member of our royal court. So the room is nice and full. Huh? Their daughter is here.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I saw them in their video. They had their child walking around and they was accusing us of not having a legacy. Man, we got whole families in here. We already got our next generation coming up in the teaching. It bothers me when they come off like they're better than us or what they're doing is more valuable or valid than us, as though we're not doing African tradition.
Absolutely.
You know, speaking of children, you know, they did this in front of children.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
In front of children. And what was done was pure violation.
Absolutely.
And when we attempted to have a conversation with them, you know what the answer was? For a whole almost an hour.
We thought they was cool too, brother.
We just want to have a conversation. We just want to have an honest conversation. That was the answer. Okay, a real man would have walked over and had a conversation and asked questions.
That's right.
But these are the behaviors of beta males. Beta males with small phallus energy. Small phallus energy. I'm trying to watch my turn. Small phallus can see beta males with small phallus energy.
Yes, we let Jehudi on the tongue.
Yes.
Okay, so we speak words of power.
It's a way to compensate for feelings of insecurity and inadequacy. That you need an audience to protect you, because you wouldn't come over one-to-one and do that, man to man. you made sure you had cameras out and everything. So if you really did get that work, then, oh, we got our camera. Now we can edit it to make it look favorable for us.
Hollywood tactic.
Yeah, we're absolutely expecting
talking about psyops.
To use that
there is propaganda tactics. And a propaganda tactic is called projection, where what you accuse the other party of doing what you're doing, there's no evidence of us doing anything to them. And if you say that we did on your podcast, produce the evidence, because in the universe leaves a mark for all of its activities. And that mark is called evidence. The universe, the spiritual universe, always leaves traces of anything that occurs in the universe. So if that occurred in the universe, that we did something to produce the evidence.
That's right. That's
produce the evidence. Where's the text messages prior? I'm not talking about your advertisements trying to get us and other people to come to your events. That's not a conversation. Okay? We already know you're going to try that. No, say, give me a text message or email or your phone call logs. Where's your phone call logs to say, hey, we have some differences, let's talk.
Can I just also acknowledge that even if they have reached out to us, if we didn't call you back or we didn't text you back, that still doesn't warrant an attack on this level. Like, somebody not calling you back, so you attack them like this in front of their children, in front of their families. Like, I don't know why they. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's called ISFET. It's ISFET. That's exactly what it is. All right. Okay. So now, let's go into this conversation here. So a little further down, we'll get into the wearing white that Ms. Sid had brought up earlier. So when we talk about the state of the communion, saving the African community. So this is something that's going to be ongoing, not just this one conversation. Again, I'm your scribe, Sanjay Ankara. So you see, we have our emblem there.
They should be able to hear them fine.
So as a response to that scholarship, studying is not part of tradition, and it's not a part of being what's called Kemetic. Of course, what they're implying. Let's go to the instructions of King Keti. He says, follow in the footsteps of your ancestors, for the mind is trained through knowledge. Where is your knowledge at? Behold, their words endure in what? Books, papyri, mediums in which you are leaving written language so that they can reach the generations beyond their own life into the future to reach us now. Behold, their words endure in books. Open and read them and follow their wise counsel. That's that word seba that you mentioned earlier. Seba means to teach, to instruct. For one is taught becomes skilled. Where's your skill set? Who taught you? In fact, where are your elders that you brag about? Bring them to the conversation. We don't want to talk to you. We want to talk to your elders. The ones who actually have knowledge, bring them. Do not be evil, for kindness is good. What you did was evil. Make the memory of you last through what? Through love of you. You are creating hatred. You are creating negativity. There's nothing positive about what you did. You did the exact opposite. Unma'at. WN-MAAT. That's anti-ma'atic, what you did, your conduct. That was Isfet. In fact, you should know this. When you go to the Pertinent Root, chapter 125, in any papyrus, be it the papyrus of Ani, the papyrus of Nepsine, the papyrus of Herut, the papyrus of Nakhet, any one of those, and more, the 125th chapter. When you go to the very first declarations of innocence, it says, I have not done Isfet. And it says Isfet.
remind the new people on there that they could YouTube it.
Yeah. Webet put the link for the YouTube video on the Facebook, in the Facebook comments. So if you are on Facebook and you want to see the slides that Sanjetti is referring to, please switch over to YouTube by using that link. Sanjetti, also, why don't you unmute your computer? I'm going to mute this one. And then that way.
All right, unmuted. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. I'm just doing a switch here.
Okay, try it again.
Testing, testing.
Okay. You
Oh.
should be good now.
Okay, all right. So these are words that have endured in books, and books is also physical, and books are also here. And remember, Mr. Biddy spoke about like double meanings, double applications. So the books, the record is organic and inorganic. Simultaneously, both are just as legitimate as the other. You need both. You need the oral tradition and you need the written tradition. Because the word for right is sesh. That's one of the words. And it's also sekah. That is a linguistic variant of the word sesh. Sekah, it also means memory. So to remember is to write. You write so that the generations who never heard you or may not know anyone who heard your voice can still hear your voice through their eyes. See, in African traditions, you speak through metaphor. Yeah. So the medu necher, which is the writing, and if you doubt that it's called that the medu necher is the word for the writing, you can go to the tale of the eloquent peasant, and it names medu necher. If you need a resource of where we get the phrase medu necher, they call it the tale of the eloquent peasant, which should be called semi in seketi pen. That is the proper term, semi in seketi pen, which means tale of the farmer. Okay, and our great ancestor Jedi Shimsu Jehuti, otherwise known as Jacob Carruthers, he calls it the tale of the articulate farmer. So we have to give praise to the ancestors. Doing that. Now, for the late period, from the two speeches of Sishu, says, "Oh, you who are alive on earth." In other words, he's speaking to those who he cannot physically speak to. He's reaching them. "Oh, you who shall come after. Oh, every man who what? Reads writing. Right, reading and writing is part of our tradition. Come, read these writings that are in this tomb. I shall lead you to the way of life." Come on with it. "I shall teach you your conduct." Okay, that you may reach the abode of generations. Because the abode of generations, again, to be you don't automatically become an ancestor because you die. In fact, when you go to the text, it's called the onomasticon of Amenemopet, and it is a New Kingdom text, and it gives a list of things that are in the Kemetic mind, like almost like an encyclopedia, putting things into categories. Well, in the category of divine beings, they separate someone who's died and an ancestor. So a person who's dead, a dead person, and an ancestor. Ak and Akid, male and female. Remember, Dr. Ben said, for every god, there's a goddess, and for every goddess, there's a god. So that gives the masculine and feminine parts of each, necher, necheret, etc. So those of you who reach the abode, people are ancestors, not people who are just dead. There's a difference. So to say that scholarship and research and things is not part of tradition, that's hogwash. So for that conduct, the instructions of Ankh Shashanki, He says, being evil will not provide for you. Gluttony will not give you food. What he means is, you think that you're going to get some type of gain, more followers, more viewership, more props, more money by doing the evil thing because you think doing evil justifies the end. Your means justify the ends. No, your gluttony, your greed will not give you food. The food in this sense is talking about the things that you desire. You desire to make yourself larger than what you are. No, you cannot be larger than what you are. What you are has to be large. Better a statue of a stone than a foolish son. Better no brother than one who is evil. So we do not desire to band with you. We do not desire to be brother with you because of your evil conduct. Better for us to have stone than to be banned with someone who is evil. Let's talk about this white.
I thought again that the slide that Sajetti is showing us is on YouTube. The link for the YouTube, for our YouTube channel, so for the new channel on YouTube is in the comments on Facebook. So please switch over if you can, over to YouTube so you can see what he's referencing, continue session 2.
So if you didn't hear it very well from this, so if you're just not coming into the conversation, make sure you go over to the YouTube so that you can see the slides. If you choose to stay on the Facebook, you can still hear it, but you won't be able to see the slides. See the slides, go to YouTube. So speaking about why do we wear white? Okay, we want to keep it superficial. So here we have a Middle Kingdom Stella of Amenemhet and his wife Hemet. Notice the colors they have on. They're giving offerings. They're in ceremony. Take a look at what's on the kaut, the table. You have foods. You have plants, vegetables. You have bread. You have a hind leg of an oxen, which is beef. Okay? You have jugs of beer and other beverages. So just as a side note, although many of us may be vegan and vegetarian, the truth is a Kemetic diet includes beef. Even though I personally do not eat beef, I'm not going to impose my beliefs or my personal preferences so I can look superior. We stick with truth. The truth is, in Kemet, they ate beef and they ate quail, which for us is equivalent to turkey and chicken. So according to the ancients, you can eat turkey and chicken and beef. But being vegetarian or vegan, that is still a choice. It is still a healthy choice. Look at our sister, looking regal. She's wearing white. She's wearing a garb. Look what she has in her hand. Look at the flower. And we know these are their names because we can read the text. Here's another example. This here is Amenhotep III, wearing white. You see the woman across from giving offerings. The giving of offerings or the giving of Hotep or Hetepu is common across the African continent. In our communion service, we give offerings, we give Hetepu, just like you see here. In the Yoruba tradition on Sheshe Legba, which I'm also an adherent to, keep in mind that he who never leaves his mother's house thinks his mother is the best cook. So understand the African superhighway of wisdom. You could be part of more than one tradition. However, we don't overlap. So I'm not going to take everything I learned in Sheshe Legba and then impose it on Kemet and vice versa. So when I'm in a Sheshe Legba setting, I give respect in that arena. When I'm in a Kemetic setting, I give a Kemetic respect in this arena. Although we make sure we use them to cross-reference so we can understand the Sheikh Anta Dioping approach of the cultural unity of Black Africa. So you see here, wearing white in ceremony, just the 18th dynasty, and the word for white is hedge. Again, let's go to the New Kingdom, 18th dynasty. This is Tutankhamun, you see him wearing white. You see Het Haru in front of him, giving him an ankh, giving him life. What is Ampu and Het Haru holding in their hands? The ceremonial ankh. So if you want to know why do we wear or hold an ankh, why do we wear the ankh? We observe it on the walls. I wish people would stop asking us that question and just do a simple internet search. Intellectual laziness is unacceptable. So you see the white being accent. Look at our goddess here. Look at our Netzeret. Wearing white, accented with the red. Look at Ampu. How do we know this is Ampu? Because his name is right here. We can read the text. How do we know it's Het Haru? Because her name is right here. Het Haru, Nebet Pet. They will call that the Queen of Heaven because we can read the text. Let's keep going. Again, this is another scene in the same tomb. The white. Look at Wasiri wearing white. Look at the priest, who's actually a priest king, wearing the ceremonial white. And look, hold it up. What is that? The leopard skin. Leopard skin. Now, if you want to ask who's Kemetic, then what are, okay. Who's being Kemetic? We don't talk about it. We what? Demonstrate. Demonstration beats conversation. These are things that are passed on by our elders. And you want to say, one of them asked me, where do you get your information from? I said, and I'm trying to figure out, well, what do you mean? And I said, primary documentation. He looked at me like he was confused. He didn't know what primary documentation was. But you up here questioning us, are you qualified to even be in this conversation? Are you even qualified to even ask me that kind of question? You need to go do some studying yourself, sir. And you're supposed to be the emir over New York and New Jersey, incorrectly called Mer. It's wrong. If you go to E.A. Wallace Budge's in the Egyptian Hieroglyphic Dictionary, Volume 1, published in 1920, page 311, column B at the top, that's what that word Mer is. Okay? Who do y'all think y'all dealing with here? Who do y'all think y'all dealing with here? That word, Budge, incorrectly put M-E-R. You need to go to where the read leaf section is. It's emir. It's two words. It means one who's upon the mouth is what that means. And why do we know this? Because all three of my instructors, all of them are African. All three of my instructors are African. Starting with Ankh Ra, the great royal scribe Ankh Ra, Ma'akaru. He's my first instructor. My second instructor was Infudishi Jehudimes Ka in Haru, Hassan Kamal Salim. I was initiated in Karachahute Haru Nabhu in the early 2000s and early 20s. And it was required that you learn Medu Necher. Not only did he teach us academically, he took us out to the bush to learn it. He took us out on those retreats. Just like with Rasaku Kepri did the same thing. And we went out to nature and I learned it. We all learned it being out in nature. And then you want to question my teacher. You are qualified to question and challenge him. My third teacher, Sebat Raketi Ahmed, who's everybody's teacher. Dua Netter for her presence. She's still with us. She's been teaching Seth Medu Netter at least since the early 1980s. Y'all were not even an entity yet. So to say, so for you to spit evil upon our ancestors and our scholars is unacceptable and dishonorable. More Valley of the Kings, East Valley, West Bank. Again, you see more white being worn by the people in procession, pulling this great ancestor to his tomb, wearing white in ceremony. Look at, they have white garbs, white sandals, white headbands. And look at, is that a dashiki? Come on with it. Is that a dashiki or not? Look at this brother with his wife. They're working together. Men and women, we work together. We work together. Wearing white.
So not only do we wear white in ceremony, we wear it even when we're working in this life and the afterlife. They're working at the festival. And just to let y'all know, see, one of the signs, so we stand upon Ma'at, and the there's three primary signs for the word Ma'at. So you have two biliterals, then you have your determinative classifiers. Well, the first one is a platform that you stand upon. And this is a platform, when you see it in real life, the deity stands on that platform. So in order for you to reach the deity, you have to walk up that 45-degree slope to reach the deity. So being ma'atic is something you have to raise yourself up to. You have to walk up the steps to reach the deity, which is your God consciousness, if you will, your nectar consciousness. But the next one is actually shown in this picture here. So you see what's being held in his hand, that sickle, that's the second sign in the word ma'at. So ma'at is a standard for what you stand on, but also ma'at cuts. So when evil comes, ma'at will cut it down, but you also use ma'at to discern. So that's what that sickle is for, is cut to discern and to make what? Exactness and what? Exactness and precision. That's why we study scholarship, because ma'at informs us to have exactness and precision, so that we now are informed about how we are going to practice, and we're accurate with it. So now today in Ifa or Sheshe Lekba, we wear white. This is a time-tested tradition of wearing white for purity and cleanliness. So are you symbolically wearing white in your heart? It has nothing to do with the racism. Nothing to do with that. This color here represents purity, pure of heart, clean hands. Are your hands clean? Meaning that which you touch, is it clean? In the Pertham Haru, it talks about having a clean mouth and clean hands. So physically, have you washed yourself? And ritually, in ceremony, have you washed yourself? We do it.
Have you said clean words? Have you done clean deeds? That's all of that.
Have you spoken clean words, truth words? Have you spoken words that heal? No, you spoke words that attempted to hurt, but we have our shields of neat up. And here we give honor to our brothers and sisters and elders and ancestors who practice the Vodun tradition. Here we see them in ceremony wearing what? White. Wearing white, and they are honoring the Loa. So when you hear Loa, when you hear Orisha, when you hear Netaru, these are ideologically the same. And none of us have any problems with the other. There's no problems. There's no rift between African Americans in the United States and Africans living in the Caribbean. That's false. There's no rift. That's false propaganda. You are spitting isfet. You are violating the 42 Declarations of Innocence. So on your deathbed, can you say, I have not spoken isfet? I've not done disorder. You are creating disorder. But guess what? It doesn't work because we cut it down. This is us, not just the Temple of Anu. This is Saru's Tawi. This is multiple temples. Multiple temples. We're in solidarity, and there's nothing that you can do to break this. Okay, we are eternal. We are eternal, and we protect our peace. Multiple, we have priests in this picture. We have children in this picture. We have scholars in this temple, in this picture. We have every facet, professionals in this picture. Elders who have been honored. This was 2018. And you're saying we making up stuff as if we're illegitimate. The community, beyond what you see here, this is a fraction of the community that we are connected to. This is not even 1%. You have no idea of the offense that you made. When you attack thousands of people, we are thousands upon thousands deep. And you think by attacking, you're going to get your viewership up. No, the opposite is going to happen because we cut down is fed. So when they say, where do we get wet rempet? You should know what wet rempet is. That is basic. That is either Chemetics 101, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's 101. So since you want to know, and you're asking, where do we get our information from? And I told you primary documentation. Well, here you go. Here's a list of feasts from the Old Kingdom, 5th dynasty. We also have Kemetic terms for the periods of the dynasties. So this is Mesukash Kemetnet, the 3rd Kashite or Kemetic birth in civilization. This is the tomb of Ptah Shepsesa. So we're going to focus right here. We see it in red. We're going to focus up there. All right, let me move something around here.
Those of you who are on Facebook, I want to remind y'all to switch over to YouTube. There's not very many of you still on Facebook, but YouTube is where you can see the slides. All right. So please, if you can, there's a link in the chat that'll take you directly to the YouTube live stream so that you can see the slides. I don't want to disconnect us from Facebook entirely because I know people are still looking for us there. But if you're interested in seeing the slides and following along the presentation, please join us on the YouTube channel so that and the sessions we can continue.
And again, if you did not hear him at Mbara, go to your YouTube to see the slides. Go to the YouTube to see the slides. So let us continue. So now this is a zoom of that upper right-hand side of that same picture. Let's move this around. Okay, so at the top right, so you see we have rows of text, and the text is read from right to left. Those of you who have taken meta lecture, those of you who are scribes know that there are 4 directions in which we read. So at the top right, it's the Hotep Dinasut. Let's stop right there. The Hotep Dinasut formula is the common offering formula. So if we want to talk about who's being Kemetic, do you even know what the Hotep Dinasut is? You can find this in Kemet. You can find this in every museum across the world. You're going to find text, inscriptions with this formula. We use the Hotep Dinasut formula. Sebat Reketi Amen teaches us the details of this from a scholastic view, and then she gives it to us for us to practice. Hotep Dinasut, it means an offering which the king gives. In other words, it means an offering that the king authorizes to be used in ceremony and ritual. So it's really saying an offering which the king authorizes, because the king is not physically there, so he authorizes it to Asar or Wasir or Sari, right there, that next one. Now, let's jump down. We don't spend too much time on it. We're going to go down to the second row. And prior to this row, all the way at the other side, we cannot see. It's another Hotep Dinasut. So it's a Hotep Dinasut, and the offering which the king authorizes to Anpu. We know it's Anpu because we can look at the Anpu dogs or the Imbawa. So in Bantu, because remember, we use other African languages to help us understand Kemet. So those people will say Anubis, okay, that's Greek. We say Ampu, but in Bantu is Imbawa or Enpua, which means it's a word for dog. So we use that to cross-reference. So an offering which the king authorizes to Ampu, and it's Kenti here, or Kentit, who is in front of the divine booth. So you see the nectar sign, you see the Kira shrine. So the the shrine of the deity or the divine booth or divine shrine, who is the Neb. Oh, wait a minute. Naba. Hold up. There's more than one Naba, right? That is a common term. That's not special to the Naba. Now, Coptic is Neb or Neb. I think in the Mosi language in West Africa, it's Naba in the Mosi language. So it's not special to the Naba Ta Jesser, to the Holy Land, the Naba, administrator over the Holy Land, who is upon his mountain. So that's Tepi Juef. Tepi Juef is who is upon his mountain. Let's keep going. Any scribes, make sure that, and I think Sibat Raketti is in, so please, if she needs to correct anything, I'm open to it because we respect our elders. But I want to make sure that I'm honoring Sibat Raketti Us. So let's keep going, because I have to honor my teachers and my ancestors by being precise and reading correctly. So one who is upon his mountain, Imi Wat. So Imi, one who is in Imi. So that's a participle, who is in the embalming place. Wat. We know it's a place because of this determinative classifier. And then we have Peret Karu here, an invocation offering to him. Now, this doesn't say him, but it's a shorthand writing. An invocation offering to Ptah Shepseset, whom this is dedicated. So they do shorthand writing. While in, so that's M, or during, Wep Renpet. And this sign here is Heb, the festival of Wep. So this is the horns here. And we have the sun sign, Ra, which tells us to talk about time period. Wep Renpet, the festival. So when you ask, where did y'all get that from? We get it from the text directly. And then the second festival is Shehutet, the festival of Shehuti, which is held on the 19th day of the first month. That is a sacred day for those who are scribes. Don't we have like the number 19, a sacred number, like the Nation of Islam and things like that? Hey, peace to the Nation of Islam, peace to the gods on earth. Let's keep going. So now let's get a little breakdown here. So the Kemetic New Year, which is really the happy or Nile Valley New Year, because it's not just in Kemet, it's up, it's down and up and down the Happy River. So the first phrase you see at the top, Wepet Renpet. Wepet Renpet. If you have your notebooks, make sure you're writing this down. And it's a noun phrase, meaning opening of the year or the inauguration of the year. Because when an inauguration is a great celebration, the inauguration of a president, the inauguration of a king, etc. So the inauguration of the year is a great event because that is a new beginning. It is a fresh, youthful beginning. So let's go to the next term down. The word wepet literally is the word for horns. It's a noun. Horns, top of head. Brow, the top of a mountain, the zenith of something. And I didn't put it in here, but wep is also a word for cerebral cortex. When you read the medical papyri, it is literally, so we have these suenu, the physicians, and the embalmers as well, who combine their knowledge for medical knowledge of anatomy and physiology. So if you are Kemetic, you should be studying anatomy and physiology, as well as how to farm and how to plant, how to grow food, etc. So for those who look at chakras, etc., again, we don't say chakras. That is a Sanskrit term. In Africa, we have more spiritual centers on the body that we mark. So that opening at the top of the head, wepet means to open. So we go to the next word, wepi. It is a verb that means to open, to inaugurate. When you're a baby, when you're newborn, there's an opening. at the top of the head. So the whole idea of this opening out comes from Africa, does not originate in India, because it means to open, which is the same word for cerebral cortex. Next term down. Renpi, which can be used as a verb as well as an adjective, which means young or fresh of water. So you see the pattern is going here. We have what's called paronymy. Paronymy is when two or more words are overlaid together for a common theme. This is very common in African cultures and African languages. And then the last term down, Renpet, is a word for year. So when we say Wepet Renpet, this is the inauguration of a what? A fresh new year is what this is. So for those of you, the very few of you who don't know what Wepet Renpet is, you have just been taken to school. Wepet Renpet, opening of the year, inauguration of the year. So I had a conversation with one of the heads of their organization. And again, we had a cordial dialogue. We had no issues. However, I've asked a few members, it's interesting that you start your new year on the 11th of September, and on Gregorian leap years, you started on September 12th, because on leap year, instead of 365 days, it's 366 days. I said that's the same as the Coptic calendar, the same New Year, the same as the Ethiopian. And they denied it and said, no, we don't. We follow the ancient. Well, technically, the ancient calendar, you can't still follow the ancient calendar because it's outdated. If you follow the calculations as the processions move, then you will end up with September 11th. So all you need to do is look on the internet and look at the Coptic calendar. It is that easy. So today, the Coptic Orthodox Church, their first day is the first of Thoth. That is what they call it, because the Coptic language is nothing more but a Kemetic language. We could talk about that later, because there's different languages spoken in Kemet that are related to each other. So Coptic is a Kemetic language, and they still utilize one of the main languages. And we know Thoth, that's Jahuti. And look at the location in Africa. Then when you go further up south, go to the Ethiopian New Year, same thing. So this is not just Kemetic, it is a Nile Valley, East Africa dating. So sections of the Nile River region, or the Ichiru Hapi. Ichiru Hapi. Ichiru is a word meaning river. What kind of river? The Hapi River. So now, there are two primary calendars that was used in Kemet. Well, pardon me, let me correct myself. Two versions where they use different nomenclatures for the same months, okay, or in the lunar calendar. Excuse me. Okay. So if you're Kemetic, you already know that Memphis is Menefer. So where I have my cursor here, which says Memphis, that's Menefer. That's a little south or up south of the apex of the delta, right there. Menefer region, northern monthly nomenclature. We're going to go through that in a second. Then when you go further up south into Waset, on the map here, it says Thebes. Thebes. Technically, actually, that is a Kemetic word, by the way. It's Ta-Apet, but that's another conversation. Thebes is not a Greek word. More on that later. But we're going to call this the Waset region. Why is that important? So we can distinguish here, Menefer region. This here is the first 12 months of the year. There's actually 13 months, And the 13th month is 5 or 6 days, mostly 5 days. But on those leap years with 366 days, it is 6 days. And it's called 5 days over the year. And the Netcharu, who govern each of those days, they're called those who are of the 5 days of the year. The 5 over the year. However, now, in the Mediterranean region, the first month is called Teki, which means he of the plumb bob. And that is a Masonic tool of measuring so you can have exactness. This is an epithet or name of Jehuti. Now, we can jump to the last month, the 12th, well, the last month of 30 days. Each month is 30 days even. Last month is Wepet Renpet. Why didn't they know this? Well, maybe they didn't, but that's okay, because they were following the Waset region version of the calendar, which they have. And again, we have their products. We have it here, so we know which one you're using. We've done the research. We have all the text we need. Excuse me. So the month in their calendar, they follow the Wasetian rendition of the lunar months. So the first month is Jehuti, or Thoth, if you will. And next to it, you see the Coptic versions that the Coptic Church uses now. So again, this is not new information that some prophet brought to us that everyone was ignorant and now we're supposed to follow him. Sounds like Christianity to me. In Africa, it's not prophets, because African tradition is not traditionally prophetic. So that's the first red flag, that they're using an imperialistic ethos, which is a Eurocentric ethos of imperialism, using passive aggression. We're not falling for it. It's happened enough over the centuries. Nice try. Doesn't work. So now, first month is Tehuti. Last month is Mesurah, the birth of Ra. Both calendars, versions of the names of the lunar months. Remember, everyone, they're both legitimate. You can use either one or both of them. There's no, oh, this one's right and this one's wrong. Let's keep going. So being Kemetic, we do research and we take these ceremonies, rituals, and holidays, and we utilize them for ourselves in a present modern day sense. So Henik Ma'at, we celebrate it twice a year during the time of you have the equinox, no, not equinox, equinoxes.
Right after.
Yes, the spring equinox and right after the fall equinox. So we follow sacred time. So what you see here is the 19th dynasty, Temple of Seti I. He's doing Henek Ma'at. And in fact, how do we know he's doing Henek Ma'at? Because right here, where my cursor is, it says Henek Ma'at. Excuse me. The first two signs, it's a short handwriting. Henek, so that's the arm, and it has the new bowl in the hand. That's short for Henek. And then remember that platform we talked about earlier? Right here. And then you have the T, Henek Ma'at. So we know that because we can read the text, and we adopt this and we do a ceremony twice a year. So if we're talking about who's Kemetic, excuse me, here's another one. The last slide, 20th dynasty. This is Ramesses III offering Ma'at to Wasaret. This is him doing Henek Ma'at. So that is the final slide.
So I noted to the session for that amazing presentation. First and foremost, which serves as a beautiful advertisement and reminder to everyone that in 2 weeks we celebrate Wepper Pet.
Wepper Pet.
Okay.
I'm gonna switch the volumes.
Oh yeah, I guess it's the okay. There we go. You muted? Okay, so on that there. All right, so again, a good reminder that we're celebrating Weapon Pet in 2 weeks on Saturday, July 22nd. Tickets are available on our website. Go ahead, you got it. Tickets are available on our website. Information about what to wear, what to bring, what we're going to be doing is available on our website. This is part of the living tradition for us. This is part of what we're doing to reconstruct the tradition. But my bad, I'm talking. You're supposed to be talking.
What more can I say? You don't play it here. So I hope for those out there that brought some measure of resolution to address that claim of who's fake and what's authentic or whatever. I think one of their concerns, because I think they stress lineage, we stress reconstruction. We stress about the idea of ancient principle, modern application.
Too.
And unfortunately, that they're going to find out is in 2023, nobody, because I think they said only that we're religious and people want to get away from religion. Nobody care about religion. But if you're going to stress lineage and things like that, you're cycling them back right into that trap you think you're releasing them from. So in 2023, what it's looking like for everybody across the board, nobody care about lineage, nobody care about religion. They want to know, does it work? Does it work for you? Does it work for your people? And their resonance is the order of the day. If people are going to make an educated decision, what resonates with them and what they want to align to. So, but to answer their question, are we recognized by the continent? Let me ask that in your thing.
Yes.
Recognized by the continent. And the answer is unequivocally yes. So we'll start at the top with Shechem and the Sarset Society. He was the first amongst our cycle to be recognized by Africa. I think he was back in, I think that was in the 70s or maybe the early 80s. He was installed twice in 2 different regions of Ghana. So there's a Sarset base in Ghana that they work from. So initiated in and working with the local populations over there. Second, you have Infidisi. Infidisi was installed as chief also. He has property and he's building a school over there. So a working relationship with the people over there. Anthony Browder taught that there's 5 migrations from Kemet and one ended up in Ghana. So it's real significant with this Ghana-Kemet connection. And lastly, you got Hemet Neter and Hemet Netret.
Hemnetter and Hemenezer and Hemetor.
They got 2 years ago, they were installed as king and queen or chief and chiefess in Ghana also. They have property and they're also aligned with I think a newly founded college over there in Ghana that's going to specialize in the study of the connection between West Africa and Kemet. Now, she also told me this weekend that they have a shrine over there that was supposed to be the shrine of a Kemetic priest that came over to Ghana and, made some contribution to the culture. There has a whole altar and it's something serious over there. And it's been there for generations. That's what they teach. That's what it was taught by the elders before them. So it becomes folklore. So the question becomes, is it real? I don't know. Can you verify? I don't know. We're not here to knock it. So they're doing the same, they have the same claims Earth Center has. So the Earth Center claims that they have a continuation of the Kemetic tradition by the word of mouth of their ancestors. So are they going to contradict what the people are saying in Africa? So because what it seems like what they're implying is that we should ignore the scholarship, which the scholarship is telling you what the actual tradition is, and that we should just go by folklore and the word of mouth of the elders. And there should be no conflict. The goal is supposed to be the harmonization of both. So we can't just go with the words of the elders, and I'm sure they have a lot of wisdom. They can help ground it and bring it home, but we have the fact of the text.
So,
because a lot has happened in the past 50 years that some of them might not notice. When you have culture, they say language is the DNA of culture. So when you know that language, you broke the code to what it is that they're actually doing. So when the text says, this is what you say, circumambulate 4 times, this is what you're offering, there's no he say, she say. We don't have to go through the back door of any other culture when the ancestors are saying it themselves. So the problem becomes when those who claim they have an oral tradition and saying that oral tradition is the ancient Kim tradition, and we have it from the mouths of the ancestors themselves, now we have a conundrum. And I'm not saying ignore the elders. I'm saying as Africans, we're syncretists. We could bring both together.
That's right.
So the lineage claim and the reconstructivist claim is all together. So the answer to the question, yes, we're recognized on the continent. I hope that brings resolution to that. And also, then you sent me something the other day. Was that Nigeria? They doing some type of pyramid, something that they're asking for contributions. You sent me on Facebook.
Yeah,
Was it Nigeria or Ghana?
I think it was Nigeria.
So Nigeria is now, they're trying to start the Kemetic tradition and legacy up over there, and they're asking for assistance from people over here in the States to make contributions toward that. So are you going to attack the Nigerians for their claim on Kemet? It can't be stopped. The movement is stopped. The movement is here.
That's right.
So just to bring it all home, how we teach it anyway, we just, for instance, we go with Nigeria and the Ifa tradition. We know outside of Africa, the biggest population of Africans on the planet is in Brazil. So we know about the transatlantic slave trade and things like that. So when they were importing the captives, not slaves, when they were importing the captives to Brazil, of course, they got, they were being raped, and it was transmutation of the traditional African phenotypes and things like that. So as they kept shipping captives over, the captives over in Brazil, when they saw the Yoruba people coming over, they referred to them as Lakumi. So you heard the tradition called Lakumi. Lakumi is Ifa. It's the Ifa of Brazil with the Brazilian cultural or the Portuguese cultural overlap.
That's right.
Then from that, you got Candomblé, you got Shango. All of that is Ifa. The people from Nigeria, they see right through that, and they be like, that's Ifa. And they don't have an issue with Lakumi. They don't have an issue with Candomblé or Shango. And now in 1955, you got the Santeria, the way of the Orishas, and that has the Latin overlay. So when the Ifa sees the Santeria, the Latin people are still singing the songs, and they're trying to sing the songs in the Yoruba language. And when the Yoruba people be like, yo, they straight getting it wrong, they mutilating the language. I get what they're trying to do, but guess what? The rituals still work. So that's how it is with the Kemetic tradition. Remember, Africans are syncretists. So us as Africans and American or American Africans, we're doing, based off of our experience, we have our right to do the cultural overlay. They're like, oh, why are you reinventing? Because maybe we just built different than African Americans over here. We hold our nuts and we figure out things. That's true African culture, to figure out things, to problem solve. If you're like, if this happened, do this. And if this happened over here, do this. If the rain comes down, we do this. If they come over here, do this. If you have some health issue, do this. And you always pull from your environment on how to do it. It don't have to be done exclusively the Ifa way, exclusively the Dogon way. You take from your immediate environment, because culture essentially is codes of survival, not just a way of life. It's survival. So when we say what is the Kemetic tradition, we teach it as the Neter, acknowledgement of the Neter, acknowledgement of the Neteru, acknowledge the veneration of the ancestors, the teachings of Ma'at, informal and ceremonial initiation. That's actually African tradition across the board. So us as African-centered people, when we see those markers, it's authentic African tradition. And every people on the continent of Africa, they don't have problems with different types of Africans practicing different African traditions. So don't start that divisive stuff and try to marginalize the African Americans from our right to do the same thing everybody been doing since time immemorial.
That's right.
So to go back to the top, I've met Master Nava back in 2009. He was a gentleman. He was a quiet spirit. So that energy that I'm seeing that comes from y'all is contradicting what I know or what the rest of the community know him to be. We don't have an issue with Master Nama. We don't have an issue with anything we talk. We have an issue with that character of y'all. That character of y'all is unbecoming. And we just gonna have to let this play out the way it's gonna play out. But you wanna close it with that?
Yes, we will close off with a letter that we received from someone named Raina Nava, who, well, I'll just read it. I'll read the letter to y'all. It says, greetings, fellow Kem. My heart is so heavy after seeing what happened at the African Festival. As Master Nava's daughter, the founder of the Earth Center, I wouldn't feel right not saying anything. My father would not have wanted that. He was an amazing man who wanted to spread the knowledge to those willing to receive it. He would be ashamed to see so much hate coming from the organization he started. I had to leave the Earth Center because of these reasons, and it broke my heart but I can't stand with evil. I'm sorry that this has happened. It's not right.
Mic drop. Like, I don't know if it's real or whatever. That's what got brought to us yesterday. And we still stand on that from our personal experience with meeting Master Naba. Her message was in line with my experience with y'all Master personally. So I'm done. I think we're done. So we're just saying we're not addressing none of this nonsense anymore. We ain't going back and forth. So if anybody want to know what we feel about it, direct them back to this video. This is all we got to say on the matter. This is time for the community to put on their children's shoes. Y'all adults, y'all know what y'all want. Y'all know what y'all need. Like him had said, you have to exercise some discernment and learn to interact with all of us. Do we have the knowledge, wisdom, the understanding that it is that you seek and trust in order to possibly guide you on your path to walking in your power?
So on that, sir. I very much hope that I get to celebrate with some of y'all in a couple weeks. Honestly, I hope I get to celebrate with all of y'all, but I know some of y'all just can't make it, but as many of y'all that can make it to Web Pet and we can celebrate, we can close out this year, we can close out this chaos, we can put this behind us, and we can start a new year fresh. We can start a new year off continuing the intention to live in Ma'at. We can start a new year off with our hands and our hearts open, ready to receive the inundation of blessings that the Neteru and the ancestors have for us as we continue to do the work that they have called and charged us to do on this planet. That is our focus. And we hope that you align with us on this focus as you strive to bring yourself into light, to bring yourself into your power, to be the divine being that you were meant to be, and to live yourself into your sacred purpose. Dua Netta for joining us today. I know this was a long one, probably the longest one we've ever had. We appreciate y'all time, your attention. We appreciate the reciprocity that y'all send us in the form of your donations. Yeah, y'all got a very, very detailed free lesson today from the session to Sue. Like, listen, you know how much I have to pay for a class like that normally? So we appreciate the donations that you send in reciprocity of the energy, the information, and the work that you got from us today. You can send your donations to Cash App, $ Temple of Anu. You can send your donations to PayPal, templeofanu@gmail.com. Session to Sue, if they want to donate to you personally and line your pockets personally, how can they do that?
All right, Cash App at Sonjedi, Sonjedi.
That's right. Make sure that brother feels that love, all the love and information he shared with y'all as well. Dua Netzer. Thank y'all again for y'all time and energy, donations. One last shout out, because we did not start this. We should have shouted you out. Happy birthday, Nissa. I know they the best of his birthday week. We just got to celebrate Nissa's birthday all month, y'all. Nissa just celebrated a birthday this past week. So Dua Netzer. That's right. Dua Netzer for you, Nissa. We're so grateful to have your leadership, your guidance, and your vision, guiding the temple, protecting the temple, and always taking us in the direction that we need to go. And if people want to send you birthday donations, how can they do that? The Cash App. Oh yeah, what is his Cash App?
$ Nissa.
Okay, yeah, $ Nissa. Holla at Nissa. Send him some birthday love, y'all.
NASWT. Cash $NASWT.
Dua Netzer. We appreciate
nothing under $100 bill.
We appreciate love, y'all. Show me your time, everybody.